first presentation of the day is status of Benthic Preyfish community, and Jeremy Holden from Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources will be up for that one.
Thanks, Chris. Morning, everyone. As we start off, just like to again recognize that this is a presentation on behalf of the Lake Ontario Preyfish Working Group, with our team listed there from M&R, USGS, and New York DEC. You will hear numbers of this, that it is continues to be a collaborative program and is sort of the backbone of our Preyfish assessment program. Quickly to outline the process of the presentation today, we'll review the fish community objectives once again and start with where we were in the last reporting period, and do a brief outline of the assessment program, again specific to the fall component, and then walk through the different species objectives for each of those. There's our 3 survey vessels out on the lake. This program has really, again, been a collaborative effort for 10 years now, and it's really, I don't know, it's been a great program and a great collaboration. I'll talk more about that when we see the survey results. But in the last reporting period, there's the 3 objectives that we're going to go through here. Diverse preyfish communities. All of these are assessed with the bottom trawl program that we do throughout September and October. We were all previously meeting the first 2 and showing increasing trends in the other ones. And again, as we've just mentioned, with the deep water Cisco's not meeting those, and there was no real change at that time, but we do have some encouraging results related to that. The fall program has, for a long time, largely was mostly just a USGS program effort across a set of transects on the southern shore. From the early 80s all the way on, there's a number of different gear changes that were occurring in there with where we were using, the program started with the Yankee trawl, fishes hard on bottom, heavy on bottom, and with the establishment of mussels throughout the lake. That was made that trawling program very difficult. And so there was a number of things that were tried, different trawls, through a period there of the 2010s-ish. And anyways, we came back to the benthic trawl, the Yankee trawl, recognizing that there's a lot of mussels in there, but the benthic fish are hard on bottom, and we needed a trawl that would fish hard on bottom in order to accurately assess those, compared to the trawl that we would use in the spring that actually sits up a little bit higher and doesn't capture those benthic fish as in the same abundance as this trawl does. The other big change throughout there, these changes are all documented in our Preyfish reports. That the most recent ones are all available on the Lake Ontario Committee page. You can go there and scroll down, and you'll see the annual reports of these surveys on that page. In 2015, though, you'll see that we started a new effort where both DEC and M&R became partners in this program and allowed us to expand that survey into a greater number of areas, and in some cases just actually provide a better buffer in the case of getting some of the survey completed. There's 2 years there in particular where effort was a little bit lower. I think it was 2018, the Ontario Explorer had winch issues, and we weren't able to do the full suite of sites that we did, but because of 2 other vessels operating, we still had a broad coverage of the survey. Similarly, you look in the most recent year, USGS's vessel was having issues and wasn't able to conduct much of the survey, but we were able to reallocate effort across vessels and still can maintain continuity of the survey. So you can see here the 2014 plot is essentially, that's the historic program from the early 80s all the way up until 2014, and then I switched to 2023 as a more of a representative survey of the modern era. So a little bit less intense than our spring program, but a diversity of areas, including expanding into the lower Bay of Quinte, which has helped us with some of the other Coragonid efforts. The one we do change trawls in that just because a Yankee trawl doesn't like that deep mud that we have in the lower Bay of Quinte. So there's a little bit of gear mixing going on here, but broad survey, very good spatial coverage, pretty good depth coverage across the entire lake. The deepwater sculpin are one of the, I don't know, most interesting cases that I think we have in Lake Ontario right now. It probably doesn't get the amount of attention that maybe it deserves. But we went from having, you know, a population that was extirpated through the 80s and has now just exploded throughout the offshore pelagic population. You'll see the most recent value on the graph in the U.S. waters looks low. That's mostly a function of not having the USGS vessel out in the survey and not being able to cover the deep transects that vessel usually has. So generally that is largely an increasing trend to the point where we are even seeing, you know, older fish across all ages, and just the numbers are huge. They're second most abundant in this survey now. A slimy sculpin, on the other hand, used to be the dominant benthic preyfish in the 80s. See an immediate decline in the early 90s there. That's largely been attributed to lake trout stocking and recovery. Large numbers of lake trout during that period of time probably brought those sculpin numbers down. But then we see this kind of large decline and relatively low numbers in the two most current reporting periods. This is a combination of probably of round goby coming in and out-competing, and it seems like slimy sculpin are sort of squeezed now in between round goby in the shallower parts and deepwater sculpin in the deep parts, and their niche has just gotten a lot tighter. The areas that we do see them though are remain kind of on the Ontario shoreline and the right across in front of Toronto and across to Oshawa seems to be the highest densities that we see, even though compared to historically they're not nearly as high. Overall, our benthic diversity scores remain higher. In the two reporting periods, again, not much change in the overall diversity. The large change kind of goes through with the introduction of or the reestablishment of deepwater sculpin, maintaining those that diversity indice. Bloater, since the reintroduction program has begun and stocking, we have between the spring and the fall trial program, we have caught a number of bloater throughout this. The fall trial program in particular is most comparable to the Lake Michigan surveys, same time of year, similar type trawl, so maintaining that continuity has been important in terms of providing a biological reference point for Lake Ontario that we can compare with Lake Michigan to get an indice status. At this point, the numbers are obviously relatively low. We're just basically in detection phase, but that comparability should help us provide an index of what an expected biomass is, being able to compare to Lake Michigan conditions. There's also, this is a broader spectrum of the reporting on this that incorporates not only the trawl stuff, but the telemetry and other gillnet programs is reported in there by Weidel et al. Too. That's available, point you that direction. So most of the bloater that we have detected, again, some in the spring, some in the fall, but the majority of them have been along the southern shore. Most recently, just this past fall, the Ontario Explorer crew did catch one off of Toronto. I think this is largely a function of just our trawl distribution sites. In Ontario, we really have an emphasis on trawling 90 meters and deeper, again, because of the glaciers left us a bunch of boulders in those shallower depths, so we don't have as many trawl sites in those shallower than 90 meter depths, which seems to be a little bit closer to the bloater depths that we've been collecting them on. So this distribution of catches is probably more an artifact of of our trawl effort in suitable habitat than necessarily their distribution pieces, which is probably worth looking at the telemetry distribution if you're specifically interested in bloater. So to kind of wrap pieces up for this assessment, again, our status of preyfish, our slimy sculpins in deep water, it's currently meeting, but really with mixed results. Deep water sculpin are doing fantastic, but slimy sculpin are probably at historical lows, so kind of a mixed trend in there. The overall diversity meeting, not really any change, which in some senses is good because that is probably a fairly healthy mix of benthic fish, and currently not meeting our objective of stocked and wild juvenile ciscos. No change from the last reporting period, but as that program continues to stock fish, we'll expect to see that this program will be well suited to detecting those changes. So I got time, a little bit of questions, but again, just to reemphasize and thank all of the vessel crews and staff and the data management side of it that make these programs work. It's been a great experience with all the 3 boats working, and again, provided a lot of buffer and learning and opportunities across all 3 boats to change and improve this survey. So I'd like to recognize all of those people that have contributed over the years to that. So if there's any questions, happy to take those now. Thank you.